What's up, everybody? Welcome to Bitcoin and Altcoin Trading Talk. Okay, there we go. Yeah, the button didn't say live. I wasn't sure if we were still going or not. Um,
Oh, you're live, buddy. You're
doing it
rolling.
live. Doing it live. So, as per usual, for those of you who have seen the show before, my name is William Kale, co-founder of Coinigy.com. And along with me from Coinigy, we have Rob Borden. How are you doing today, Rob?
Doing well tonight, this evening.
On the eve of the Wednesday. Well, that's good to hear. Sorry, I forgot I'm hosting a show and not just chit-chatting.
Just chilling.
And as usual, we have Brian Beamish, the Rational Investor.
Hello, everybody. How are you?
What's going on tonight, Brian?
Long day, but here we are. Let's have some fun.
Well, you said that with such enthusiasm, so I know it's going to be.
Brian's jacked.
Well, I like talking with you. It's a fun adventure every conversation.
Oh, yeah. And then we have Alex Sterk, who it looks like is drinking a beer there.
Is that you guys? Oh.
What are you drinking?
Coors Light that I found in my garage that I'm pretty sure is like a year old. It still has the pop top.
Nice. Coors Light from 1987.
Something like that. But yeah, no, I'm doing good. I'm still buzzing after my interview with Slockit last Tuesday. And I think I have more questions than answers. But yeah, it's our most popular show so far. I think we got like 1,500 views, and now we're on World Crypto Network too.
Oh, right on. Cool.
Yeah.
Good
So
for
it's,
you.
I'm really. It was a really great conversation.
Actually, it's interesting that you mentioned that. I had somebody, actually one of our members, and I don't understand any of this, but I do remember he made some reference to this Slockit thing, and he actually asked me whether he could nominate me to help them out. Are they like looking for people to try and help them? Maybe I'm totally off here. I can't remember which one it was, but I seem to remember him saying something about Slockit. So I might be totally off there. So how's that going?
What do you mean, like? Slockit, yeah, they're doing well. Okay, well, they are the creators of the DAO, which we spent a lot of time talking about last week, and yeah, I think they're pretty ecstatic right now with how over budget they are. I think their minimum was $500,000, and now the DAO is valued at $150 million. So it's got over 10% of Ethereum, like Ether, locked up in it. So.
Is this the same thing as Lisk?
Yeah, so Lisk is a clone of Ethereum that runs in a different language, and now there's some news today that some other developers that are associated with the Lisk developers are launching their own DAO on Lisk.
Oh yeah, this is gonna get fun.
This site member is he's attached with his Lisk, so that's what that was in reference to.
Yeah, and then we also have MadeSafe. I mean, Made is essentially not an Ethereum clone, but built for decentralized organizations. NXT somewhat is like that. Oh man, the space is gonna get pretty muddied pretty quickly. I think should be interesting.
That Made chart looks really interesting too. So.
Yeah, and actually Storage is another good chart. They are getting ready for their launch party, so we got a lot of really cool stuff coming in the space. I know everyone's buzzing about Ethereum and the DAO, but like we got tons of cool shit coming out this summer. This is not going to be a typical sell in May and walk away. I think this is going to be like, holy shit, it's crazy, it's all coming together.
Yeah, which is awesome. I mean, we're not just talking about a bunch of shit coins anymore. You know? I mean, stuff is really starting to mature.
The jury's still out on that.
But yeah, I mean, it's cool to see things maturing, as far as the space. I mean, we're getting some real notable names in the space, and some altcoins, which really, technically, I wouldn't even classify them as altcoins, but they have actual utility, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if anything, you might argue that this seasonal rally ended really abruptly there in March, eh? And if anything, maybe, us going through this past month or so of cleanup was maybe setting the stage for some just big orgy heading into the summer here. Totally possible. Yeah.
Well, it'll be
and
interesting
it's
to
all
see.
still kind of depending on.
Sorry,
It's all
Alex.
still depending
Anybody
on
who's
what
listening,
happens.
Alex is fighting with a delay, so I'm just letting you guys know if it seems awkward or not. Go ahead, Alex. Sorry about that.
Yeah, superior rural internet troubles. No, I think we're still waiting on what's going to kind of go down with the Bitcoin halving, and it seems like just crazy Bitcoin stability is what we got in store. But yeah, it's 8 weeks,
Yeah.
8 weeks until the halving. So we'll see what happens with that.
Wow.
Kind of setting the frame of the whole market.
I did expect it to be picking up a little bit quicker, a little earlier, I guess, if it was going to. So, maybe it's not going to, do too much. A little bit smaller spike than something like what Litecoin did.
I think it helps that everybody's in Ethereum at this point too, because of the DAO.
I've just been watching it here over the last few hours. It's back up over 030 now again.
Oh, right on.
That's the Ethereum?
Yeah, Ethereum.
Yeah. I noticed, the interesting thing about Bitcoin is it just keeps making higher lows. So it's not like it's really breaking down here. It almost feels like every time this thing's ready to dump, it just stops. And for whatever it's worth, my feeling is the market is totally concentrated on this DAO, and I don't even think people are really aggressively thinking about shorting Bitcoin until this event gets out of the way here almost. And then I suppose is there like a hold period? This stuff is going to be listed. And then is there like a hold period for this DOA stuff? Or can people just, as soon as it's listed, boom?
DOA, that's funny. We'll see if it's DOA, but yeah.
Is it DOA or is it
the DAO? Yeah, I mean, right now we're still...
DAO is DOA. Hopefully not.
But yeah, we're still kind of in the ability to kind of, it's almost like an ICO, I guess you could say, where you can purchase the DAO tokens on the Ethereum blockchain. And I think that ends at the end of May, right, Alex?
Yeah, I'm just actually on the website, dowhub.org, and there is 9 days until it ends on May 28th, and after that, DAO becomes immediately tradable. And then it will be about 2 weeks before the first proposals get passed, and you start seeing the entire DAO starts fractaling into 20 other DAOs, and
right.
Slockit maybe gets their first proposal passed, and there might be one or two other ones, or so it's gonna be pretty crazy stuff that way.
Awesome.
I think the market's got that's what everybody's sort of attention is focused on.
I wouldn't be surprised if the first proposal is we should probably invest in Bitcoin.
Right. Or something ridiculous like we should just shut down the DAO and half of the people vote for it or something.
If I understand correctly, I mean, and this is again just an idiot non-crypto expert here just asking you experts questions. So if somebody took advantage of the discount and was able to buy these DAO coins at a discount over this sort of ICO period, then what you guys are saying is as of the 28th of May, they can cash in on that deal. Is that correct?
Yeah, essentially it's going to be listed definitely on multiple exchanges, I think. I mean, I know Bittrex definitely is one. Alex probably knows the other one.
You guys remember how that Ethereum, as soon as it listed, what happened, right?
Yeah, it was quite the dip. Well, and I think you're going to see a pretty close tie between DAO and Ethereum. Actually, probably the most interesting pairing we'll see this year is DAO ETH. That's going to be the coolest pair to trade this year because it's completely speculation on how much ETH is the DAO worth after it starts paying out to people, after it starts doing hedging and whatnot. Because we know exactly how much it's worth right now. I got the page pulled up here. It's worth 11.6 0.08 million ETH. Like that has a USD value, but that's like fluctuating like crazy because it's taking into account Ether and Bitcoin. But yeah, we have another 9 days of this. So yeah, and this is the rate right here. Right now we're at 1.2. Tomorrow it goes to 1.25, and it's increasing every day until it gets to 1.5, and then we're at that for a week. So yeah, we got still a little bit more time, but this is the page you want to be watching is dowhub.org. And actually, there was a distribution list that I thought was really interesting because Brian, on the last show you said, oh, if you own 5% of an equity, you're required to do reporting. Well, there are a couple people that have like 4% of this right now. So I know a lot of people were kind of concerned, like, oh, no one's going to vote. They need 20% for votes to pass, and like BitShares has tried this, and they weren't able to, I guess, get enough voting, and ended up just being a centralized vote with a couple people. Well, now you have some really big holders who have a lot of money invested in this in a kind of provable way. So you're going to see, I think, some pretty decent voting here. Yeah, I'm getting excited. As on the last show, I was quite excited too.
Yeah, we're gonna try. I mean, yeah, we're gonna try to kind of dig in as well. I mean, we're working kind of on our block explorer behind the scenes and trying to get Ethereum data in. So that's kind of the first step, and then we're hopefully going to be able to start pulling metrics on the DAO and whatever else may come up and display that on Coinigy, basically.
And the only way you can buy this with that website that you showed us, Alex, the only way you can buy into this thing is you have to own Ether. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. But like, you can trade it pretty fast. Like, you can do it through the Ethereum wallet and directly trade Ether for DAO, or like BitShares has a tool where you can send Ether from your wallet balance, and then DAO will show up in your wallet as soon as it becomes tradable. So,
right, but what I could see happen here, and this is classic, I mean, I can feel it from you guys, right? Can you kind of feel that this is building towards that May 28th date? Oh, it's going to be a big climax. You might have just like a mass rush at the last minute into this thing.
Well, you should see what happened the last day. It was 1.0. So here, I'll show you the number of tokens in existence. So I think like right here was the last day that it was 0.1 or 1.0 was the rate, and then it went to like 1.05. So everyone was like, buy it all now, and then there's still a couple left, and now it's kind of tapering off. And yeah, we're almost at 15% of the Ether supply.
Yeah, that's like crazy.
That is gnarly, isn't it? Right? Like,
yeah, that is pretty crazy.
And you have to think too. I mean, technically, it's kind of, the more people that buy in, isn't it technically kind of just diluting the value of the DAO tokens? I mean, I know it's pegged on Ethereum, which is then basically pegged on BTC, but I wonder if it's hurting or helping the price, having more and more and more DAO tokens generated.
Yes, but DAO tokens can be deflationary really quickly. So I talked one thing we heard about on Block Talk was one way you can vote is called a split. So you can basically say, I no longer want my Ether to be part of this DAO anymore. So you can vote to split, which allows you to basically take all of the money and bring it back to like your own DAO, and then another 2 weeks later you can then send the DAO to an exchange because you're the only voter, and essentially have it back. So someone could be putting 5% of their or 100% of their Ether supply in this, and they don't really give a rat's ass about DAO. They're just inflating the numbers. So you got to take this at kind of face value. Like, you could have a lot of developer money going in, or a lot of original Ethereum purchasers, and they know that if they never vote, they can always withdraw their Ether. So if they're a long-term holder, they have no risk in keeping all of their Ether in the DAO.
Well, I can tell you just as
this gets more complicated the more we talk about it.
Yeah, I got it.
Sorry, Brian. What was that?
I don't know. Just as a technician, for whatever it's worth, I don't like the smell of this. This got trouble written all over it. But we'll see what happens. Only time will tell. It's so complex. I mean, it's interesting.
So complicated, yeah. And
I started in this industry 3 years ago, and I would just simply go around the forums and can someone please tell me what the actual intrinsic value of one Bitcoin is? And nobody could answer the question. And I'm wondering the same thing here, because didn't we talk a couple weeks ago and you were actually talking to the Ethereum developer and he was saying that he didn't like the price of Ethereum to be this high? You remember that, Alex?
Yeah, exactly. He thought it was too high. Yeah, like it was. He felt it was almost too expensive to like run a contract or to run code. So he didn't like it being.
So if the cost of Ethereum is really high, doesn't that imply then using Ethereum you're going to have to pay whatever the price is, a fee, right? So doesn't that imply that the use of that vehicle is going to cost you more?
Well, one interesting aspect I heard about DAO is, okay, you want to make a proposal. If your proposal doesn't get 20% of the votes, you sacrifice the ether that you put in. You have to pay 2 ether to put a proposal in. So you're paying $20 to just have people vote on whatever you create. And if you don't get quorum, like 20% of the vote or 20% of the money voting for it, you're giving that money away. So, yeah, the more expensive ether is, the harder it's going to be to get proposals. And maybe that's part of the whole, like the big hitters in ether know this, and they're like, oh, maybe we do want a high price. You know, we don't want anyone just submitting a proposal.
But I saw like other people, and so what are they? Is the Ethereum people specifically looking that the DAO is going to be their primary vehicle, or are they, you know, expecting other people to use Ethereum on its own?
Well, right now, like development of coins. So right now with Bitcoin, you had like the Bitcoin Foundation, and it was terrible. Like it just burned money like crazy. So like coin development being funded is actually a pretty hard thing to solve, because like Bitcoin itself is a DAO. All these coins are DAOs. There is no like governing body or like someone who's required to look after them. So right now, Ether has a nonprofit called the Ether Foundation, but maybe they're looking at the DAO as a way of supplementing or displacing the Ether Foundation and actually having a better governance model for a coin and coin development. It's like, oh, the DAO wants to develop an Ether app. Okay, cool, we'll fund that because that increases the value of our Ether holdings. So like this is probably how you're going to see like the Ethereum development get taken over.
But I got the impression that if you wanted to use Ethereum in a smart contract, then there's a fee associated with that. You're going to have to pay a certain amount of Ethereum. So, but if the Ethereum price keeps going up, then that basically implies the cost to use their platform is going to continue rising.
Yeah, and I've had an argument with someone too about like Ether is going to go crazy. It's going to be the future of currency. I'm like, Ether's not a currency. Ether's a token. Bitcoin is currency. Like Bitcoin has so much relative stability right now, whereas Ether is like it's a pay-per-use network. And right now, the use cases for the network are exploding, and people are realizing it. So that's why you're seeing the price go up. Because like, man, there's going to be so many people using this network. Like, we got to buy it all up right now. And maybe it's like, oh, well, it's really expensive. No one can afford to use it. Oh, well, the price will come down a bit. So it's going to be this ebb and flow of actual use. And that's what I think we're going to do. And storage is another great example of that, too. It's going to be based on how much is used. But I think storage has way more control over their asset. Like they have 90% of it in a pre-mine that they own and control. So they're setting the price of data usage on their network. But Ether is just the wild west of it, I think.
Yeah, I mean, from what I gather as well, is like Ethereum is kind of just the network, and then the DAO, and there's now going to be, now that we have the first DAO on Ethereum's network, now we're going to see copycats. You know, if there's one thing I've learned about this industry. I mean, people are going to just copy the hell out of whatever source code they can get and create their own DAO. So, I mean, granted, this one obviously has a ton of financial backing, but over the next 6 months, there could be 250 variations of this, for all we know, with varying amounts of volume and different parameters, etc.
So yeah, so in essence, and this is actually something from the stock market that we relate, right? I remember during the dot-com boom, everybody and their brother was going into the dot-com business. And I remember specifically analysts would have new companies on, like pets.com and stuff like that, and they would ask them, so what is the barriers of entry? Can anybody do what you're doing? And a lot of these people were like, well, there are no barriers of entry. Anybody could get into this. So how does that justify us bidding your stock price up? What's so unique about you? I'm almost hearing kind of water TP talk here.
It's funny, yeah, because the person you're talking about with water TP is just like, oh, I'm going to submit a proposal and the DAO's going to give me all their money. And if not, I'll split off. That's crazy. Well, I don't know. I got a little bit invested in the DAO, but not as much as I was originally going to do, because I'm like, you know what? There's probably going to be a dip in this. I don't see this going higher after it releases. I think there's going to be a little bit of a cool down, especially when we go into dev mode. Like 2015 Bitcoin was in dev mode. It was just riding coaster, hitting a floor. So I think you're going to start seeing money leave the DAO and go into projects, but there's going to be probably a year until we get a return back. So we might be going at 2017 might be another quiet year. Or if you just did the dot-com boom, this could explode and go crazy. I'd rather just wait until the shit's released and maybe then put all my money into Dogecoin's DAO, the Doge.
Oh my God!
Yeah, I saw you say that earlier in Slack. I chuckled a little bit.
So we're already starting to hear, because didn't I hear you earlier, Will, say that Made has a similar thing to this, and that?
Well, I mean, Made is a network similar to Ethereum in terms of smart contracts, smart applications, decentralized software, basically. So. Yeah, I mean, I'm not really familiar with Made's network in terms of what's out there. Obviously, I assume there's similar things already out there on Made. But yeah, I mean, we're going to have all these competing kind of massive networks like Ethereum, Made, etc. And then on these networks, now we're going to have assets, decentralized autonomous organizations, just straight up smart contracts, tokens that represent different things. I mean, the rabbit hole is going to go very deep, and it's not going to get filled in. It's just going to go deeper. So.
Right. And then, of course, the argument is if Ethereum's price gets bid up too high, then they might actually price themselves out of the market.
Very valid point. Yeah. I mean, especially when the DAO controls whatever percentage it is, 13% of the entire supply. I mean. That I didn't realize that. That's crazy to me.
Yeah. So for me,
but granted, it is kind of the first public use case of Ethereum that people can potentially speculate on. The first mainstream one. So everybody's getting in basically just to test the waters.
So the people that bought into the DAO a month ago, and just so I understand this because I'm stupid, remember that, right? If they put one ETH into this DAO, did they get multiples of these DAO tokens or whatever?
They got if you bought in at the beginning of this month, I think it was you got 150 DAO tokens for one ETH, and then right now I think Alex said it's at what 120 and it's going down.
Yeah, 120. Tomorrow will go to 125. So there's 25% less.
So, if I understand correctly, on May 28th, all those people that bought and got 1.5 tokens, they could instantly liquidate and realize a 150% return?
They could realize a 50% return if they bought at the beginning and they sold at the end if someone was buying at the same price that it was currently being transferred at. Yeah. because like you get a 50% bonus if you bought a week, 10 days before.
I don't know if it's necessary. I don't know if it's really directly
be,
translatable to profit though.
Yeah.
Because you can just you can cash it out back into Ethereum, basically.
And you get like a free 50% return? That seems to me like a bit of incentive to do that.
It's incentive to get in early, yeah, but like I don't think it's going to set a precedent for price. Like we saw 10% of Ether, all Ether flowing into the DAO for 1.0 pricing, but now you have 1.2 pricing. We're at like 14%, and that's going to keep like trickling off. So maybe we'll get to like 15% of all Ether will be in this thing. So 5% bought at a premium, or 5% of the Ether supply bought at a premium. I don't think that's going to set a precedent.
But all I'm saying is that on May 28th, there's going to be a bunch of people that are going to be like, hey, I'm sitting on 50% profit. What? Cha-ching, let's take some profits.
Well, and this is the whole thing with the ICOs that are going on right now. A lot of people, or a good friend of mine actually has a pretty good strategy with ICOs. It's like, okay, the longer the delay between the listing or the closing of the ICO and the release of the product, the greater potential for value there is. So Ether was like a year difference, and it opened at 10 times value. And then you have a couple other ICOs.
And it just cratered, didn't it?
Yeah, but you still were able to claim 10x, and then I think.
Okay, so my point here is I'm just worried that on May 28th you might just have a flood of crap hitting the market.
Well, and that's what people want, the quick return, and that's why the longer the wait period, the better your return is. And List was supposed to be 2 weeks, and now we're at like 2 months. Augur was supposed to be released at Christmas time, and it still isn't out yet. So these maybe is the increasing value, but actually I think Augur pulled back on Gatecoin recently, but now we don't know.
Gatecoin is down right now, basically.
They got hacked. I think they lost like $2 million in assets.
Yeah, and then I suppose there's always that, because didn't the Ethereum ICO, didn't they actually kind of do some poor money management along the way there? So,
when the price was...
Technically, that's why, and I don't know whether you want to mention it, but I guess that's kind of why you're interested in your project you're doing for the DAO, eh?
Yeah, well, okay, so I mentioned that before the show, Brian, I was kind of picking your brain about the regulatory implications of me approaching the DAO and saying, hey, the DAO just owns ETH, and that's the only thing they own. And that seems like it's pretty volatile, like, and it's not, like, the DAO should be diversifying. They should own some Bitcoin. They should own, an altcoin portfolio like we kind of have every day here. So like I want to approach the DAO and say, hey, can I manage some of your funds in a decentralized manner? So I'm working with an exchange operator to say like 2 or 3 key, and I'm hoping to get someone from the Ethereum, the co-creators of Ethereum to be my 3rd key. And basically, you need 2 or 3 keys to withdraw from the exchange, and I would only have API access, so I could, in theory, trade into whatever I want to, and then the DAO could vote every quarter to say, yeah, we like what Alex is doing, he should keep the profits and invest them again, or we want to withdraw profits, or we want to withdraw everything. Like this could be the voting every quarter when I submit reports. So that's my kind of idea, but this could technically be classified as a hedge fund, but I can't legally own or create a hedge fund. But the thing is, if the DAO isn't beholden to any government or country, if the DAO doesn't have any nationality, I'm not breaking any laws related to the DAO, but I could be breaking laws related to the Canadian government or the American government. It all depends on I guess what do the lawyers think of it, or what does the SEC want to do about it? So could be setting precedent.
Yeah.
Yep. Set some case law.
They'll call it the Sterky law.
I like it. Yeah. So if any DAO holders are out there and you follow Block Talk on Twitter or you like my show, I would love your vote because I got to get 20% of $150 million to vote to give me pennies of that.
Do you have any publicly auditable statements of your prowess as a money manager?
Yes, actually, I've already traded for a decentralized hedge fund, if you want to call it that, Gambit Crypto. So I'm actually the #3 trader for Gambit Crypto. I'm actually just above you, Brian, in the profits for that. But yeah.
When was the last time I was on that? Does it keep records?
Yeah, like if anyone wants to go to, I think it's their
I haven't been on that in a while.
gambitcrypto.com. Check out their But he's got the spreadsheet of all the trades, and I only traded for the fund for about 3 months, and let's see, what did I do for
3 months? All right.
For 3 months. It was during,
the track record.
But during that 3 months, I think I had like over a 300% return on my. I made like 1.6 bitcoins with. But the thing was, I actually blew up my Forex account. Like I got a one broker account with it, but I wasn't managing it very well. So margin trading was not my strong suit when it came to Forex. That's why I just want to do altcoins, and then I can actually apply the TRI strategy of the buying of the dips. So I think altcoin management would be my strong suit. Now I'm looking at using the Gambit history of my trading regimen, at least in the public forum, because I'd rather not share all my private trading. At least not yet, until I have my security all figured out. So that's something I'm working towards too in the next couple of weeks here. And I think
for whatever it's worth, I think Wall Street's going to come calling fairly soon. And industry standard on Wall Street is if you can show them a track record that actually, auditable statements, I wouldn't be surprised that the DAO management, whoever it is, they're probably going to ask you for that track record. Mm-hmm. So get all that stuff all ready to go ahead of time, and so when they ask you, just boom, yep, here it is, and you're good.
Link your accounts to Coinigy. We'll build the report.
There you go.
Oh yeah, that's why I need API access, so I can just link it to Coinigy, and I can do everything from there. Maybe I can get a couple exchanges going and do it all from one place.
Yeah, I mean, even if you didn't trade through Coinigy, we still can get read access. So
yeah, so
at least catalog all your trades and whatnot. Put it in a spreadsheet.
Beautiful, quarterly reports.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll keep my fingers crossed for you, Alex. Keep fingers crossed.
Yeah, no, I hope I can get your vote, Brian, if you bought any DAO.
I own some Ethereum off the bottom, but really, little old lady style. And I'm just more than happy just to keep spoon feeding the market if they want to take Ethereum higher. But really, to be honest with you, I would much rather let this DAO actually list, let the market tell me where I should be buying and selling, and not get sucked into this initial euphoria. I'm a little bit bothered by just how euphoric the market is getting here. But that's just my 2 cents. Right? I'm a skeptical old curmudgeon at this game.
Well, you've been through a couple battles, Brian, so I'm sure you've seen this all before in one way, shape, or form. Not necessarily in crypto, but yeah.
Well, like I said,
I trust your instincts.
I didn't get sucked into buying a water teepee. I'm not living in a water.
Right on. Well, hey, before we get into some awesome TA, it's probably a good cutoff point, I think, for the DAO conversation. I just wanted to mention to anybody who's out there watching, the Coinigy Android app is now available on the Play Store. I mentioned this last time, but we did just push a pretty big update. Actually, I think it was Friday, something like that, where we fixed quite a few bugs, and we're going to continue doing that. So all you have to do is go to Google Play and search for Coinigy, and it's called Bitcoin and Altcoin Trader. And Rob's holding it up right now, basically. But I think you're in a small window on the bottom. Oh, there we go. Sure. Okay, you're presenting to everybody. Hold it up, Rob.
Oh, good. Here, now it's on the video.
Way to go, Rob.
You ruined it.
There we go. So there's that.
Oh, yeah. I don't got my login going yet. I better not hold that up. Just about the security side of things. I gotta get that figured out before I go too public with my phone.
Right.
You guys remember back in 2013 when that news reporter held up
the paper wallet
with the QR code right on it, and somebody literally stole his bitcoins before he was even off the air.
within seconds.
That was hilarious.
Yep.
Free money.
Alex, just make sure you enable 2FA. We have had a couple of users. I can't. Maybe Rob remembers the name of the site that their email list got hacked.
So that Simple FX, did you see all that?
Yeah, I think it was them. Yeah, I think they got just straight up hacked and passwords stolen and everything. But we did have a couple users basically had their accounts compromised on Coinigy because they used common passwords. Luckily, we caught it, within a couple minutes because of IP verification and stuff. But definitely enable 2FA because that would have prevented it. So anybody who's a Coinigy user, make sure you enable 2FA and don't use the same password across sites. That's 101 right there. So yeah,
but
just wanted to mention that.
The 2FA, would that not make that issue go away?
Well, technically yes, but there's always the chance. I mean, we use Google Authenticator, so you have to have a mobile phone, basically, or basically an Android emulator on your computer in order to get the 2FA token. But there's the potential some sites basically use email 2FA, and that doesn't help you if the attacker got into your email as well. And then they can just grab your tokens from there.
And don't use a Chrome extension as your 2FA either. I've seen that before.
Right. Yeah. So just wanted to mention that. Had a couple users infected, basically. And then it's all basically phishing attacks too. So what they're doing is they're emailing all these users. That's right. I forgot to mention the phishing angle. I don't know that SimpleFX got their passwords, or database compromised, but I think the person that got all these emails was sending out all these basically NinjaTrader sign up now landing pages, and all they were doing was grabbing people's passwords along with their email and then testing it at a bunch of sites. So just be wary of that. And then finally, in terms of Coinigy updates, something that Brian's been asking for forever, and he never gave me any acknowledgement. But you can edit your balances now. So I know you had a little blip in terms of the exchange rate, and well, I won't bother demonstrating it. It's really simple. If you go to your balance charts, you can simply click on any point or any date on the bar chart, and it'll pull up whichever accounts you have selected, and you can just edit the amount you're holding or the exchange rate or the total. And then you click save, and then it'll update. So
awesome. Okay.
So that's convenient. On times we're still kind of dialing in our exchange rate. I mean, it's fairly good, but every once in a while, a coin will come on, for example, Yobit with an absurd price for a couple days, and it'll throw our exchange rates out of whack. So this way you can edit it.
Cool.
And, yeah.
How are all the screeners and stuff going?
Oh, they're going great, Brian. They're going great. No, honestly, since I sent you guys that screenshot, which I think Alex shared in Jumbuck's Slack the other day, we haven't really made a ton of progress. We've been got a lot of irons in the fire, so that's up next. Right now, presently, I'm working on stop orders for margin trading. So for triggering, basically, trigger orders on margin trading. So that should be available hopefully tomorrow. And Rob's reworking the alert system. Rob rolled his eyes when I said tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be available tomorrow. And then it will, I swear. And then Rob's reworking our whole alert system to make it basically 100 times faster in terms of alerting, which is going to be awesome. So.
Well,
yeah.
I was just going to say that you got a lot of fans on our site. I see a lot of Coinigy charts. They really
right on.
Likewise. Yeah, I see them all the time in the Telegram chats. Everyone loves it.
Yeah, at some point too. I mean, it's on our roadmap to kind of do like a leaderboard type thing and copy trading and chart sharing. In terms of like
charting.
Charting your charts. But no, having kind of a public feed and that kind of stuff, so you can publish all your charts into one kind of consolidated feed.
Right.
All that stuff.
Publish your trading activity if you want to a public feed or to a feed that you share with users that you let follow you or that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as well as kind of user profile, public profiles where you can actually, share your actual profit and loss if you want to, that kind of cool information. So working hard over here. We're getting through everything.
Yeah. Well, and the interesting thing is if you can do that, then Alex can use that data directly to the DAO management.
Right? Exactly.
And I also can, gloat over Brian if I'm over him in the profitability every month,
Damn straight.
Yeah.
Go for it. I challenge you. Kick my ass.
All right. Competition is the incentive of innovation, right?
Well, for me, the only measure of success or failure, in my eyes, is just simply, can I follow my trading plan? That's the only measure that I use. Frankly, I mean, I love it when people are like, and it's often a trait of sort of younger guys in the marketplace, very competitive, very, I'm a better man than you are, blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, the only thing that really matters to me is, did I actually do what I said I was going to do? And through my site and stuff like that, all of these portfolios are basically run as demonstration purposes. So if I don't do what I said I was going to do, then I got no business sitting here saying that, listen to me, kind of idea. So that's really the measure that I use for success for myself. And what I see, and I'm very pleasantly pleased, is that the returns are just coming along. They're almost a side effect of good sort of business practices. So. But anyway, I thought you guys earlier today made a request, and I think it's perfectly reasonable. It's awfully late for you guys on the East Coast, so maybe do you want to tell the viewers that we might change the time of this show in the future?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't decided yet. Depends, but Alex obviously is now in the Eastern time zone, so it's really late for him. So we might do it an hour earlier, might do it 2 hours. Depends how it works with everybody's schedule. So
yeah. But just a heads up to the
we'll
audience.
give everybody ample warning before it happens. We still haven't made a decision yet.
Yeah.
But let's get onto that wheel. I'm kind of excited to take a spin on it. I know we got actually a TRI coin that I'm looking to get a nice long position.
I mean, wheel or not, I mean, I don't know who these guys are, the TRI. Here, I might as well put the screen on here. I thought it's kind of amusing. People were like, "Oh yeah, TRI, this must be yours." I don't have any association with this. It's called cryptographic triangles. No idea. You can see the supply of coins. That's very, very low, eh?
It's low. It says it's only 49,000 under Anthread. So, I'm on the old one.
Less than that, eh?
Yeah, no, don't listen to me. I'm on the wrong. I'm on the old one. Now I'm on the new one. But I don't think I could really go for triangles. Block Talk is more of a square kind of show.
Well, the interesting thing is the chart kind of looks like a triangle too. I wonder if that's a coincidence.
There's a couple triangles there.
Yeah. I mean, for whoever it asks, frankly speaking, and you guys have heard me say this time and time again, half of our job here is just to get people to stop buying these nutso spikes, right? This, unfortunately, is the hallmark of when the public ends up buying these assets. So, ironically enough, especially if you're going to do something like Little Old Lady kind of style, I don't really have a problem going and taking a nibble off here. I think this is a perfectly valid idea. Obviously, it's not on Polo, so no margin or any kind of trading with that. But, I think on balance, is it worth taking a shot against these lows? I love to buy against lows and sell against highs. And, you can definitely see that somebody's trying to establish a floor on this thing down here. So any kind of dips into this bottom area, work stink bids, perfectly fine. I think it's worth a shot here. I really don't have a problem with that. Do you bet the farm on a name like this? That's debatable. You know, people that I work with, we spend a lot of time just trying to identify what type of investor they are, and you know, your personal profile will dictate what kind of risks you should take in the market. You know, a handy tool for you guys watching out in the community, and you probably heard me talk about this before, but we have an old saying in the market that gaps like to be filled in. And you can see on this candle chart, we have a fairly large gap there, and also another gap here. So if you want to try and lowball this and be nice and cheeky, you could maybe work your bid down here around this 40,000 number. Wow, that seems like an awfully big number. But you know, you got to understand that. I mean, you can see the floor here, right? Because this is such a big number, if they start busting it down through the lows here, this thing could drop a chunk. So you're going to really have to ask yourself what kind of risk taker you are, what's your risk management strategy, and you know, that will definitely dictate course of action going forward. But in my opinion, is it worth taking a shot? Just this nice stink bid. You see how they have these candle tails? You know, for some reason they zipped it down here and then zipped it right back later on. You can see it's come down here. Here we even closed down in this area. We got another tail here. Have you guys ever heard me say tails and wicks like to be eaten?
A time or two.
All right, so you got this little tail here. So that kind of also suggests that maybe we could come back down there. So really, on balance, I don't have a problem working a stink bid down here. And considering how many coins are out, that's not a bad idea. And the interesting thing, you know, just from a risk-reward perspective, is, you know, if you take a shot off of these levels, you know, basically I would say that, you know, this is sort of your risk window, and if they start closing it down here, maybe decide whether this is really worth your while and maybe just walk.
It looks like pretty significant variance in the price there too, because like the low is what, like around 40,000, and then the high is like 400,000 or something. 600,000.
So, this is sort of the argument that I make as a speculator here. Considering the risk and the potential rewards, you know, if we just do our little fibs, you know, going back off these old highs, you can see even this rally here didn't even make it back up into this, you know, ultimate, you know, what I like to call the reload zone. So I could see major resistance up in this area. And then, of course, you know, we could also do the same thing off of here. So, you know, on any sort of rally, what are sort of realistic rally windows? And these are pretty big numbers. So you're telling me that, and look at this, somebody's actually buying this thing up as we're talking about it. I hope they don't just bust it out.
Well, that's a one day, though.
So the point that I would make is, you know, just taking a shot in this 40, 50,000 area, there's, well, I guess if you can get filled down here, we'd basically be sitting on a double just right here, eh? In fact, I wouldn't even be surprised. Well, there, somebody's buying.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So I wouldn't be surprised if there are people that bought down here, right? This 35, 36,000, and they can get themselves a free position just on this rally up into here. That's one reason why I kind of like these coins that are like this, because you can see, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's an operator here just banging this thing back and forth and just collecting a massive free position on this coin.
Yeah, so if you're watching this right now, why are you buying the top of the range, guy? Like, come on, you need to wait for it to come back down.
You know,
is this candle gonna go red now?
You can see the volume here, right? The big player is this guy right here, this candle right here. Do you see that? You see that monster volume bar there? So that's where this guy, whoever's put the bottom into the market right now, that's where he's long from, right? And that's a pretty big candle. It goes all the way up there, right? For me, I'm the type of guy that I like to buy against lows. It looks to me like I'm not going to be a buyer of this thing today. I would have to be patient, kind of like we see the rallies up here, and you just got to wait for this thing to calm down a bit. It might just launch itself higher. I don't know. But for me, I would be working stink bids down against these lows here. So, and we've often seen that.
I gotta read you guys.
Okay,
Brian, you should probably hear the history of this. It's actually pretty good. I'm reading the end here. Okay, Triangles was launched in July 16th, 2014, in the middle of the shitcoin era. After a promising start, the blockchain got stuck when Triangles switched to proof of work, proof of stake to proof of stake only. The original developer abandoned TRI about 2 weeks after launch, claiming the reason for the stalled blockchain was not his, but a bunch of Bitcoin Talk members took over. Since the wallet community completely networked, and anyways, I just thought this was hilarious. You know, it only lasted 2 weeks in the middle of the shitcoin era, and then yeah, community takeover. And now with the DAO, every coin can be a community takeover.
Lovely.
Maybe that's what Ethereum is. It's just it's a community takeover.
Ethereum?
Anyways, yeah, I thought it was worth sharing because, yeah, this is like your typical shitcoin story, but they do have like 5 guys who are kind of running this, the TRI Wall of Honor. Brian, maybe you should get on this as well.
All right, let's get to the wheel before this thing gets bid up to 550,000 sats.
All right. So, I mean, an interesting game. I don't mind taking shots off the low on something like this. I really don't. But could I chase it here? Yeah, that's tough. I mean, you could actually just buy, if this thing can break out here, and just risk to these lows. But you got to understand that there's gaps down here, so we you know, odds are we might revisit these levels. Okay, I threw out all the coins up on the field here. If we happen to hit TRI again, then we'll just spin again. So are we ready to go?
Let's do it.
Yeah, bring it on.
And the winner is...
Big money, no money.
BTS.
BitShares.
BitShares. This is what everyone's been talking about now as the example of the DAO.
Say that again, Alex, sorry?
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
This is what everyone's been talking about right now as an example of the DAO, because they were like the one of the first DAOs or an iteration of a DAO.
Okay.
Anyways, continue. Sorry for the lag.
That's all right. So just full disclosure, do I own any of this? I own a whack of it, yeah. So I am in this name. Okay, what exchange are we going to look at this on? BitRX, Polo? What do you want to do?
Polo, they got margin trading.
Okay. Okay, interesting coin. You know, you can clearly see that this kind of like a cascade waterfall as we're sort of heading down here. Let's throw on a few of our indicators that we've sort of told the audience about here over the time. Let's put that away. All right. So, and really what I like to do, we've got now enough data on these coins, we can actually start looking at higher time frame charts. So why don't we start at the weekly? You can see, you know, have you guys ever heard me use the term a saucer bottom?
Not sure if I'm familiar with that one.
All right, so can you see how this is sort of making a saucer type?
Oh, sure, yeah, we have.
All right.
And
you can sort of see, right? It was face rip down, face rip, and then the slope of the sell-off seems to be abating, and now we're at the point where we're almost sort of flatlining here, right? So what I see here is that this coin is getting washed out and it's starting to base. That's always a good sign. We had a little bit of negative weekly momentum here, so clearly she's not ready to go just yet. We're going to need to start seeing some WE type action and momentum for us to get really excited. Nice to see that volume here on this latest pullback here. The sellers really aren't coming out inside, so that's good to see. Willie, a bit wishy-washy again. You know, our momentum signals kind of toppy, so nothing really to get too excited about. Willie's not quite gotten stupid yet, so this might drag on a bit longer. All right, we go down to the daily chart. we can see I personally love the 13 EMA. I'm probably the only person in the world that you will ever hear talk about the 13 EMA as a trading tool. But can you see how price really sort of respected this 13 EMA here? And really, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know. Can you see that red line very well?
Yeah, we can see it. It's showing up.
So you can literally see how price bumped right up against it. And they're really humming and hawing about whether we want to, move away from this level. Moving averages are all still very negative, right? Short moving average is lower than the medium-term moving average, lower than the longer-term moving average. So it's not like they're going to pump this thing right away here. We do see a bit of a base. This was a new low here, so you know me and my W's. I'm going to be sort of watching closely. We have this low, wicks and tails like to be eaten, yada, yada, yada. We've rallied back up into resistance, moving averages, right? These previous lows. Do you see how this low here was the last breakdown, and it was right off these clotheslines here? And that's actually now acting as resistance. So, nothing to get too excited about here. I would, we got a bit of a tail here as well, right? So that could be eaten a bit over time. If we look at money flow, you can see we made a low there, but these lows here are actually a little bit higher than the OBV low there. So that's encouraging. Again, I'm seeing a lot of this kind of behavior within the crypto space where, February, March, you guys remember that? It was just nuts, right? I mean, we had guys in the site that were banging off like 5, 10, 15 doubles a day. It was just ridiculous. And we often say that, it's just too far, too fast, right? This kind of growth is just unsustainable.
Yep.
And the interesting thing is, right, if we just take our little fibby fib, kind of like that coin that we just looked at a moment ago, we can't chase. We're just not allowed to chase anymore. We have to draw on things like reload zones to just try and keep us honest. And you can see how she's pulled right back into this reload zone, and they're really putting up a fight here, right? So on balance, not bad. I mean, it's actually, this is very anecdotal of a lot of the crypto space. I see a lot of these coins. Remember we had Start, we didn't, I don't know whether we get a chance to look at that. I mean, literally the thing went nuts. It left a gap down at the lows, and it just literally spent the past couple months just slowly coming down and filling in the gaps.
Yeah, I remember.
I kind of see the same thing in these kind of names, right? I think, and really what we really need to do, and I don't know whether we can do this. Let's see if we can. What we really ought to do is just go look at the order book. And here's a handy little tool for viewers. Can we scroll down and see more of the order book?
Not there, but you can click on the top of the chart where you see the third. Nope, go
just
up.
above.
This?
Yeah, right there.
This one here?
Yep.
All right, so what I've found...
You can see the entire order book that way. And you can actually zoom in if you click and drag on the...
Awesome. All right, so what I found, and it's interesting because I did a module for our school on futures trading, and I went through the module and sort of rehashed a lot of stuff that I used to do when I was prop trading. And one thing jumped out at me, and I just sort of made the connection one day, and I was like, holy shit. If you can identify like things like fib levels and horizontal support and resistance and gaps and stuff, and if you can go over to the order book, and so when I look at this kind of market and I see these tails, I'd be curious to see whether I can sneak in somewhere between 400 and maybe 500. What I like to do is I like to go over to the order book, and I like to ask whether there are any notches in the order book. And what the heck do I mean by that? Where is the price? How does this work?
It should be saying it there, but the price is, I believe, on the left.
On the left?
Looks
so
like we have a display glitch there.
806 right here, is that correct? Okay.
I think 806.
Okay, so what do I mean by notches? You can actually go through the order book, and do you guys notice how Wow, isn't that weird? There's an order for 15 coins here. Oops. Yeah, there it is there. 15 coins there. Do you see that? And what I find is that sometimes these notches actually are levels that, and how do I see further down here?
It looks like that's all we're showing at the moment.
Okay. If you can go down and look through the order book and look for these little notches, they're often actually great indications where, let's say we had a motivated seller and they just got to get out, all right? And they're going to hit the bid, right? But if they've got like tons and tons and tons of coins to sell, if they get to a point where they've cleaned out a bunch of bids, and then we get to like a notch where price changes dramatically, and there's just a few coins bid at that level, I often see that selling just literally stops right at those levels. And just as a demonstration, I did a trade recently on this AM. I don't know whether you guys watch this thing. Let's see if I can just quickly show you this. BitRX, I think. Yeah, there it is. And I just basically used the same philosophy. I just hunted the order book, and I noticed a really juicy notch right down off of these levels. And so I just went, and it turns out that it was also a reload zone. So, you know.
So the idea, sorry to cut you off, but the idea is kind of just fill in the gap and hope that it.
Well, what I find fascinating is if you can have fib levels, right? And if we use things like reload zones, right? And then you go look in the order book and you see a notch right at a fib level. You know, all I did was I just, in this particular case, I threw my bid in right at the notch, and I literally got filled right here. I was, in fact, when I watched the trade, I was absolutely shocked. I literally got filled right there. The market came down. There was a motivated seller, and then they hit my notch, and there just wasn't any more coins bid, right? There was like a hole in the bids. And so whoever was selling just said, oh, fuck it, that's enough, right? I'm not going to be able to get any more filled in size. And I got my fill, and then the market just launched the other direction. So, I mean, I think half of it's dumb luck. But you remember, Alex, I did a trade almost exactly the same on Jumpbox. Do you remember that? That was about 3 or 4 months ago.
Oh, yeah.
Identical.
I remember
all I did was I just identified a fib level, identified a notch in the order book, and they lined up, and I just worked my bid. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Alex.
Okay. But I find it funny that you're surprised by it at this point, Brian. You should just expect that you'd be getting these perfect fills every time.
Yeah, right.
Sounds like they're pretty consistent.
Anyway, the point of the matter here for the viewers is try and, you know, and what I actually teach people is try and have 3 or 4 different reasons to justify taking a trade. Can you understand how something like using a fib tool and then going and looking at the order book, and if you see a notch in the order book that lines up with your fib levels, can you see how those are 2 completely unrelated reasons, and yet they both are suggesting to do a trade at a specific level? Does that make sense? It works really, really well. So those people that are watching,
interesting.
You know, and I'll try and make more reference to these notches in the order book as we go forward. I find it really, really fascinating how these 2 completely different reasons for taking a trade at a level, when they line up, we start getting some really interesting results. I wouldn't be surprised if we looked at that TRI and then looked at the gaps on the charts and to see whether there are any notches in the order book based on that. All right, so where were we? Where were we at? Did we even get into the coin that we were asked to review? Sorry about that. BTS.
Yeah, BTS.
That's the one we did.
And we were looking at it on Polo, and I think we did a little bit of looking at it. We didn't quite look at the whole order book. But, okay, so long and short of all this, right, is we looked at the weekly, kind of saucer bottomy. You can see the big rally. For God's sakes, don't chase this thing. And then the market comes, you know, back down very normally. What a coincidence. Here we are in our reload zone. You said this thing trades on margin, eh? Somebody said that?
Yep, first.
Yes, no, maybe.
Alex,
Sure does.
Alex is delayed, Brian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he said yes.
You know, if you want to trade on margin, you want to get a little bit, you know, more aggressive. It sure looks to me like there's going to be some sort of rally here. Lots of, you know, look at these juicy wicks up here. At some point we're going to come back up and eat those wicks. Might take a while. That might be like your little old lady kind of style. Little concerned about this tail down here. You want to get cheeky? Maybe go look at the order book and look for notches in the tail. If we want to, you know, margin trade going short here, no, I don't think that's a good idea at all. And then if we want to look at, you know, you're trading off the lower time frames, margin trading on Polo, that kind of idea. What do we got here? We could do like a little fibby fib going this direction. I think the low's there. And so you can kind of see how we have a reload zone. Oh, actually, it's all the way down here, isn't it? There we go. So, got a Mountain Man level fill there. Man, anybody who had bought that Mountain Man level there, I bet you they're pretty happy on that jackknife away. Probably a little bit aggressive for a guy like me. Got this tail. A little bit concerning about that. I suppose if you really want to, like really leverage trade this shit, excuse my French, we could maybe have a bot set up developing through here. Did I ever tell you guys about my bot?
Yeah, briefly.
Okay. See if I can put the levels on here. Basically, the bot is a continuation trade setup. So you're basically looking for the market to continue this move higher. First things first, we look for at least a 33% retracement of the previous move. And then what we want to see is a nice saucer bottom. Ideally, I look for 3 lows to come in here. So we have this low, but it looks like this tail made a new low. So ideally, what I'd like to see is, and actually here, let's set up the bot levels. And actually, I actually just had this set up on Ethereum. So if we have time, we can always pop over and look at that. But in essence, the bot just simply says that we're looking for AB equals CD harmonic pattern. You guys ever heard me talk about AB equals CDs? Mm-hmm. So we put the bot levels on here. And really what I'm going to do, and this is how I traded when I was a prop crude trader. You're not always going to be right. It's just as simple as that. Some of the setups are going to get stopped out.
Do you generally use the bot kind of on lower time frames?
If you're margin trading, right? I'm speaking to those people that want to margin trade this stuff. But yeah, like day traders. I mean, you can use the bot on higher time frames.
Sure.
But for people that are really like leverage trading and, you know, really, really precise, I love the bot as a continuation trade. So basically, we're going to want to see like a nice W come in here. And really, ideally, what I want to see is 3 lows. So give me lots, because I'm going to work my stop underneath this low here. So I'd like to have 1, 2, 3 lows to defend my position. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Market trades up through the 25% level. That's going to be your entry, right? And excuse my scribble here. Wow, that was horrible.
MC.
My stop, like I said, is going to be below the original AB equals C level. So the C is here. Goes A, B, right? C, D. That's the harmonic pattern. Whoops. I'm going to enter at the 25 level. So this is going to be my risk, right there. And my target and my goal is going to be the 100% level. So can you see how this is a $3 for reward for $1 of risk taken? Can you see that?
Yeah.
So the good part about the bot, pardon me?
It's starting to get messy, but I think we can.
Yeah.
The point here is that this is, if I was going to leverage trade this, this is kind of the approach that I would take. So, you know, and really we could also do things like a nice little trend line off of this peak here, right? Maybe this thing takes a while for it to set up. Totally possible. And really, I don't know whether this BTS is really that sexy of a name, whether you're going to stick with it. But if I was going to margin trade this, that's the way I would approach it. That's what I call my bot setup. And you know, the good part about like these kind of setups, trading setups, is that I don't have to be right 100% of the time. If I have $3 of reward for $1 of risk taken, can you understand? I don't even have to be right 50% of the time, and still I'm going to be profitable.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
So really, half of our battle as traders is just trying to identify setups that if we're right, we're going to make more money than if we were wrong. Ideally, I like people just to start with at least considering 2-to-1 setups, right? Margin trading, leverage trading, right? And this setup, the bot, is 3-to-1. Now, it has a couple extra features in here. If we run up and tag this 50% level, at that point, the system basically says move your stop to break even. So the absolute worst thing that happens is it's a scratch trade, and you get stopped out at scratch. If we hit this 66% level, then we can actually start locking in profits. And what do I mean by that? You notice how the market, I mean, if it's a healthy trending market, it's going to do things like make higher lows and higher highs. So if we hit the 50% level, great, we get to move our stop to break even. At least we're not going to take a major hit on this if we're wrong. Mm-hmm. If we hit the 66 level, then as the market makes new lows, I can now start moving my stop from down here originally. Then at 50% level, I'm going to move my stop to break even. If we hit 66, then I start moving my stop to these lows. And then we go up and make a new high, but we haven't hit the target. We pulled back. I can move my stop to this low. See how that works? Mm-hmm. So it's a very mechanical way of margin trading. I haven't really talked to you guys too much in this audience about leveraged margin trading.
No, we haven't.
You know, I thought maybe, you know, considering this thing does trade on Polo on margin, you could get, you know, we can start having these kind of conversations with the audience as well. Be interesting. I don't know whether there's this low lower than this low, or are they the same? If they're the same, then you can almost start to see the W trying to form here.
The most recent one looks a little bit lower, I think.
Yeah, maybe.
From what I can see.
It still needs a little bit of time to clean up. Keep in mind, this is only an hourly chart. And really, this is sort of designed for the more active participant, you know, like Alex has to go out into the fields and do some work. This isn't the kind of trading for that person. This person's got to watch the screen very closely, right?
Well, right now my tractors practically drive themselves, so I need something to do. Watching the chart seems to fill my time.
Okay. How about you
strap the iPod onto the cow, Alex.
Oh yeah.
Hey, I saw your Instagram with your little dog. It was so sad. You got to smile more in those Instagram things, right?
That was at like 7 in the morning after I'd already been working for 3 hours. So.
Dude, I was up at 4:30. Fucking.
Oh, jeez.
Same as you. Didn't you get up at around 4:30 or so?
I gotta get up at 4:30 tomorrow morning. That's why I wanted to do the show an hour earlier. I gotta get up in 5 hours. So.
Well, in that case, we should move on to a new spin of the wheel, I think.
Yeah, let's get it on the wheel.
Pretty close here. We have time for probably one more, I'm thinking.
I'm sorry if I'm talking too much.
That was great, and I agree. I mean, I know a ton of our users are really into margin trading, so.
Yeah, and you know what? Here, why don't we even, you know, on the site, of course, I have tutorials and stuff like that, and I have a really nice write-up that for the bot that site members that I give. So, you know, this is an example of a Bitcoin bot setup with all the descriptions and all the details. So if you want to, by all means, go and throw that image on.
Can you tweet that, Brian, and I'll retweet it under Coinigy?
Okay,
Then
that's what
people
you
can
want me to do?
quickly
How
find
do
it under either of our accounts.
So can I just tweet this link or something? Is that what I do?
Yeah, I would just do that. Or we can handle it after the show.
Yeah, let's tweet it out afterwards here.
Okay, all right. So, but remind me, okay?
Yep.
You know, you can use this model day trading off of polo margin. No reason why you can't do this.
And I think it's good to say, Brian, that you do more than a little old lady approach, because I think a lot of people, or at least your critics, I find feel like that's all you do. But you handle a lot of different trading techniques and styles in a lot of different markets. So it's good to highlight. But let's get another chunk of that wheel going. I'm excited to see what comes up.
Next on the list. NEU.
New.
So,
is it new bits or new shares? I think we talked about this a while back.
I think it's Newcoin, which they have a bunch of VC money.
It's either bits, shares, or coin. So I had a 33% chance.
You know, Jumbucks has a coin generator, and it's the most hilarious thing ever. Like coin name generator, and it just stitches together random stuff, and you get like dark shares and like the most random stuff. It's pretty funny. But yeah, no. So Newcoin, it has some VC money, and it's just been dump city. They gave out like what is it called, an airdrop where you could sign up with email addresses. So I'm sure people were signing up with hundreds of email addresses trying to get coins, and I think I still have mine. I've never even sold them, but yeah, lots of free money given out for this one, and you can see the market's probably showing that.
Well, it looks to me like they broke some hearts here.
Yep.
Breaking hearts by the day, it looks like.
You guys know my my M's and W's, so you can see where I would have probably wanted to go long off of this here. At 744, so the question is, did we get a double out of this? Interesting. Look how they took it up almost exactly to a double there. Isn't that sick? So that high there is, what is it?
That was one of your students, Brian, selling.
Probably. We probably put a top in this damn market. 1476, and the breakout was 737, so that would have been 1460, 1470. What was the high here? 1476. Oh, that's ridiculous. So basically, you know, and the only way you would have gotten a fill here is if you had had your open order working. I don't think you would have been able to discretionarily trade that. That would have been damn tough. Having said that, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of guys that bought this, and even this little dip down here against these lows, I wouldn't be surprised if they were taking at least partial profits into this event. And then, like I said just a moment ago, it looks to me like something fell apart here, which is a shame. But, you know, this is capitalism, right? It happens. And, you know, what I don't like here is, can you guys see this market structure here? We have an old expression, right? If you ever see the market starting to smile at you, look out. Can you guys
better clench.
Right. So she smiled. She broke down. And it's just been a ski slope since then, hasn't it? Very painful. So for those people that were leverage trading this, you know, really there was lots of warnings too. And, you know, half of the time in this battle, it's, you know, if somebody goes and buys into a name like this, can you understand that they're kind of buying into a dream? Right? Mm-hmm. And then if you have this breakdown here, and you have to come to them and say, you know what, maybe we didn't get our double fill, right? And she's starting to get heavy here. Maybe it's a good idea we just hop off. And that's a tough, tough sell to a lot of people in this world.
Look at those two huge volume sell-off days too. Those are the shit, I gotta get out days.
Yeah, this is
blood.
Like, yeah, this is what we call like the capitulation. You ever heard that term before? Capitulation. How many coins are out on this thing?
Oh, it's millions. It's a large supply.
Oh boy. So the problem is for this to really be a capitulation, what is that? That's only 4 million coins, right? Little under 4 million coins. So that's not even 1% of the, well, I guess it's that 325 million?
Just over 1%, yeah.
So yeah, just a little bit more than 1%. Usually we say a capitulation is good like 5% plus. So unfortunately, and really what it wouldn't surprise me is whoever it was that was, okay, we'll accumulate this thing here, we'll pump it, we'll get on board. Whatever happened here, they've decided, you know what, we don't want to have any part of this. Let's get the hell out of here. Which is a little disappointing. You're going to have to let the dust settle right now. No doubt about that. I do see, you know, for those that are sort of, you know, the risk takers, we got a little bit of a double bottom trying to form here. You can see how the market rallied back up into resistance, right? You see that doji high right there. So we definitely have some sort of level right in there to watch. You also notice too that there are gaps here as well. So we might pop up, fill the gaps in, and then have to come back down. This was a new closing low, so you know, if we change this to a line chart, then unfortunately it means there is no W here yet, eh? You know, if we can turn back up through here, then maybe we have a W to work with, but you know, very, very speculative at this stage. I often see, you know, we might even get a nice little counter trend rally of just this nightmare sell-off. So if we did a fib off of that and we started to get volume and momentum turn signals in here, we could very easily look for a counter trend rally back up top. You do notice, do you guys see how they left a gap right here?
Mm-hmm.
So at some point down the road, I think that's probably a very realistic price objective. Where are we here? Let's go like this and like this. And I would love to be able to load a template of these. So 38.2, 61, 78, 66.
It should be saving your levels if you save it as a template.
Well, where? Where do you?
In terms of the study template, where you originally loaded your TA earlier, or your indicators.
Well, so if I go and load this up, it will
next to the indicators button, if you
next to indicators button. So right here.
The drop down there.
Yeah.
If you save it as a study template, it should now be saving your fib levels that you have programmed in.
Okay, I'll work.
That was a recent bug fix, so that should be going.
So if we throw on reload zone, I don't think it should surprise us that, wow, what a coincidence, right? So reload short zone lines up nicely with this juicy price gap right in here. But, you know, we've got a ways to go here. Let's take a look at the internals. Let's see if we got anything to cheer about here. It's good to see we have a momentum divergence building here. Remember we talked lots about that in the past. Do you see how we're making higher lows and higher highs here?
Yep.
Well, the internal momentum is actually looking better. Let's put that away. OBV, right? That clearly shows that big dumper-rooney guy there. Willie is basically washed out. How many coins? Oh, we said there's a bazillion coins out, right?
A good jillion.
You know, because the supply is so heavy, I think I personally might just pass on this name.
Yeah, I'm in that same boat.
That, though, I think I could see, you know, here's the 200 period moving average right here. I think at some point, you know, if you're in this name, right, and you're like, okay, I got to get out of here. I think you just be patient and let's see if we can get some sort of counter trend rally back up into this resistance zone. But this is going to take some time, no doubt about it. Alex, did you have a comment there?
Yeah, like I said, I got some free coins of this, and I never even really claimed them because I didn't see too much value in them. Like it was dump city right away, and
Yeah.
I think this is just a poor investment from the VC side of things, let alone like the public trying to buy into it. So unless we see some like good developments, yeah, this is just another coin saying they're going to be like, oh, we're going to be used everywhere. It's like, well,
yeah, I just Googled it while we first pulled it up, and it sounds like their whole, I don't want to say shtick because their primary purpose is basically microtransactions, which kind of means, okay, Bitcoin clone or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, like for anyone who wants
faster
to
settlement or something like that, but
for anyone who wants to do
it's
more,
proof of stake, so it's a little different, but.
For anyone who wants to do like fundamental trading, like the question I always ask myself is like, can Bitcoin do this? And like Lightning Network does microtransactions, so like that's not a really good indication of like innovation. So yeah, I am always looking at like how innovative is this over Bitcoin? Like Ethereum is like written from the ground up, so it's completely different than Bitcoin, in my opinion. It just uses the blockchain concept. But yeah, if you're just like, oh, we're gonna do microtransactions, like I'm always so harsh on Digibyte because they're doing the same thing. They have a shitload of supply, and like we're doing, we're doing gaming now. It's like, okay, well, nothing is stopping, Steam from accepting Bitcoin, and look, now they're doing that now. So why would I really give a rat's ass about Digibyte?
mm-hmm.
So, like, yeah, that's my advice in terms of fundamental trading is, can Bitcoin do this? No. Then maybe it's got some value. It's worth playing. I would love to do another spin of the wheel if you guys want to do one before wrapping up.
Sure.
Sure. What time is it? How are we doing on time?
We got like 4 minutes, 5 minutes. Until the allotted deadline, which we usually go over anyways. So.
Mona!
Yay! I love Mona.
Actually, I just bought a whack of this.
Yeah, I'm in it too.
All right. Let's see what we got with good old Mona. Mona.
So this is the Dogecoin of Japan. He's got a cat instead of a dog.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I remember this one now.
Yeah, I think you guys talked about this before. If you search any page, you're gonna need to use Google Translate on it. But yeah, it's a great little coin. The Japanese are fun people.
I do like the number of coins. This is a nice, friendly number, in my opinion. Whenever we start getting into the hundreds of millions of coins, it's gonna take a hell of a pump to get the thing going, eh? So in fact, actually, we just did the fundamental analysis, and a lot of stock screens, they actually look for like 20, 30 million coins or shares outstanding in the stock market. So 33 million, that's a nice, agreeable number. I like that. As you can see, this thing, number one, I mean, there's a few really cool attributes about this. It sure has got a bit of price volatility in it, eh? So we can make some money on this thing. Always love those kind of stories. As well, I think, and I maybe you guys can comment. Alex, do you know the story of, say, summer 2014, and then is this an ICO? Is this an initial listing?
I believe this was a proof of work coin, but if you remember what I read on the triangles, and they also were started in the middle of July 2014, the middle of the shitcoin era. Like it was just kind of Bitcoin was just on its way down from 1,200. Altcoins are springing up everywhere, and like Doge went crazy. People made lots of money on it, and then like Litecoin was kind of crazy too. Like all these coins, like there's just money everywhere, and like. Then Mona got listed, I think, after being proof of work, and here we are. I think that was the oldest exchange in BitShares. I might be mistaken, but...
Does Cryptsy even exist anymore?
No, we just have their data listed.
Alright. I'm not familiar with BLEU or CTMC, so that's why I just picked the Bittrex here.
Cryptomic, that one's the old banks.
Okay.
And the old Atomic Trade, he reopened under that name. But I don't know how much, he won't have more history than than Bittrex because we didn't add that exchange until more recently.
All right. So, same sort of story that you've probably heard from me before. As long as we can get the public to stop buying these big face rips, right? And there probably was news and announcements around these big spikes. Then, we've done half our job here. And what I also noticed too is that you guys remember last November, December, all the talk was Bitcoin, right? When it zipped up to $500 there. And people just really weren't talking a hell of a lot about a lot of these other alts. And I'm getting kind of that same sort of feeling in a lot of the altcoins at the moment, where, everybody's talking Ethereum and DOA and Bitcoin is Bitcoin, Bitcoin halving event coming up here. And so I kind of like the idea of slowly sneaking our way into these kind of names, basically just off a test of the lows. We've got some sort of significant bottom was put in down here, right? And I find it fascinating after the run-up, this entire process, look how this tail came right down and
almost exactly
right into that level and then just jackknifed away. So that sort of left me feeling as though there is somebody who's trying to defend this level in here. And actually, this is a great sort of dovetail. I think we had talked a little bit about this in previous session. I seem to remember a couple weeks ago, Alex just made quick reference to this concept of, and there's a guy on the internet, I think he calls it, what the hell does he call it? Institutional order block or something like that.
Oh, ICT you're talking about? Yeah.
Yeah, that guy. And really, what it just simply means is, and think, audience, think of it this way. The price of this thing was coming down. And then somebody one day said, no more, right? We have to understand, of course, that the public always buys at the top, right? They always sell at the bottom, and they always lose money. So that must mean that the smart money, the whales, the institutions, they must do something different. And in actual fact, they do their whole business model exactly opposite to what the public does. So who is it that put a bottom in this market here? It wasn't the public, right? Because we know that the public sells down markets, right? So somebody must have stepped in here and said, no more. Stop. And you can actually see how they brought the market away from there, and then they took it back down into there, and the guy says, I said no. Right? And then they chop it sideways. You can see they brought it back down again. And the guy says, I said no. Are you not listening to me? Right? And then sure enough, and this often happens in the marketplace, the market just goes, fine, okay, we won't go down anymore. We'll go the other direction. So can you guys appreciate, and everybody in the audience, this is fantastic learning stuff for you guys. We can just simply go on our charts, take your little drawing tool, and just put a box right over, especially, do you guys remember, what did we call these sort of like when you have a big down candle that ends right at the low, and then it opens up right there, and then a big up candle that tries to come back up here?
I think
You guys
that's
remember what we call that?
railroad tracks.
Yeah, very good, Alex. So clearly there's some sort of fight going on down here. And as I said, whoever this guy was that put the floor in the market here, he's basically going to come in and defend his position. He's a whale, right? He's a big shot. So really, this action right here should be very telling to us, right? We literally saw, overvalued, way overpriced, and of course, what did I just say about the market smiling at you, right? Can you guys see the smile, right? We knew that there's trouble in here, right? And lo and behold, look where they literally brought the market right back down into his level and then jackknifed it away. Really, I'm not here to say that this is the low and it just isn't gonna go any lower, because we just don't know. This is just a game of speculation to a certain degree, right? But if I'm going to take a shot on a name like this, and what do we say about wicks and tails like to be eaten, all that kind of talk?
Mm-hmm.
If I'm going to take a shot, this is the area I want to start buying. I'm willing to take a risk down here at these levels. This is exactly what when I should be most interested in a name like this. And we look at things like momentum. We have these handy little indicators. This Willy that I've sort of tried to convey to you guys. You can see very oversold. And actually, one way that you really should leverage these overbought, oversold indicators is, ironically enough, the market isn't a buy while it's oversold. Ironically enough, the market is a buy when the market leaves the oversold zone.
Interesting.
To put in market structure. Oh, we're losing Alex? You still there?
Oh, yeah. I'm packing up a little bit here to save some time, but yeah.
So encouraging what I'm seeing down here. Can you guys also see we're kind of doing WE type action in here too? So I kind of like to see that. It's looking good. And as I said, I've been a buyer down in here. So, you know, upside targets, I mean, I think I can easily bang off a double here going forward, right? We're buying here at about 11 and change, whatever. I've actually done a number of buys all through here. You know, if we just draw very simple fibs, let's not make this too complicated. Can you guys see, have you guys ever heard me talk about the 50% rule?
Yep.
All right, so this is WD GAN, for anybody who's interested in the name game. And he basically just said that markets love to retrace 50% of their previous moves. So if we have just a simple target of this 50% area, we're talking basically a 5-fold increase. As a professional trader, I got to take that bet every bloody day of the week, where I'm going to risk $1, and if I'm right, I'm going to get paid $5. Can you appreciate that? If I'm right, and I don't even have to be right 20% of the time just to be a scratch trader. If I'm right 50% of the time on these 5-to-1 traders, I'm making more money than I have to deal with, right? So, you know, this is exactly the kind of market that we want to be buying. Now, is there any guarantee that this thing won't go lower? No, no guarantee whatsoever. But this is our job as traders, right? In fact, I used to have an old boss that used to tell me, traders can make unlimited amounts of money, but you must understand traders are paid to worry. That's what we do. So, interesting name. I like it. And I'm in here. I'm buying. I have bought. I'm not buying. I have bought. I'm long. Off of these levels. So, yeah, good story.
Sweet. I'm surprised we didn't see the price jumping there while you were talking about it.
Well, that's the thing, though, right? Is that good names like this, ironically enough, when I'm buying, most of the public isn't interested at all.
Mm-hmm.
That's the irony of what I do.
Yeah, and we've seen that time and time again, too, where something looks, to me, you know, being a novice for the most part, it looks very uninteresting. But to Brian, it looks like a nice...
Yeah, and I'm getting all excited, eh?
A nice cannibal sandwich, red meat.
He's like the vulture, you know, circling and picking up. It's like, oh, here we go. This is, I want the crumbs.
Right, right. Well, and so the point here, guys, is this is, you know, hopefully everybody watching, you can learn this concept here, right, of this idea of, and what I like to call it, and I think it aptly is named, is I actually like to call this the institutional fingerprint, because I think that basically this is the fingerprint of the whale. You can literally see his fingerprints all over this market. Now that's a handy tool. Everybody watching, just take some notes, go back over your charts, and do some work, and you're going to be like, holy shit. This is good quality, tradable information. So.
Yes, sir.
All right, I better shut up now. I can see Alex is already starting to get irritated with me.
Alex is dozing off.
That's a good point to end on, and I like it, and I like Mona. It's something I've been buying into already. But yeah, it's tough to see some competition for Doge, but I think you know, Mona might be there. So yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Well, I guess we can
Is Doge really popular in Japan?
I guess so. And actually, just an interesting point here. I'll be real brief. The volume between the pair Bitcoin to JPY has been surging lately. Like the Japanese yen has been flowing into Bitcoin. So a Japanese play like this might be kind of interesting to keep an eye on.
Has there been any closure on the whole Gox court stuff? Have any of you guys been following that in Japan courts?
I just saw some class action lawsuit in Canada was thrown out of court for it today.
Kraken has taken over the whole thing. Like they basically bought, I think, Mt. Gox, and they're kind of working on getting the money back and distributing it to old users. Like they have the user base and everything. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah, keep an eye on Kraken. That seems like an interesting exchange.
Well, yeah, and they just did their deal with the CME, right?
Yep. Yeah. Anyways, we're going off topic tangent. For the next time, 2 weeks time, maybe an hour earlier.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll shut her down here. Thanks again to everybody, Alex, Brian, Rob. Appreciate it. And we will sign off here and say happy trails, and we'll catch you next time.
Like and subscribe.
Oh, yeah, like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. At CR Investor on Twitter. irrationalinvestor.co.
Oh, yeah.
Block_talk, Alex_Sterk, if you like seeing farming videos.
Alex,
the most important one is Rob_Borden on Twitter. He's huge. Huge on Twitter.
So hot right now.
It's trending.
All right, guys. Catch you later.
Bye.